I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. Why would I make this video? Because the title. But I figured I'd tell you all the real reason why I left the Royal Canadian Legion. It's not pretty. You know, I remember when I was 6 years old. I remember the very minute why I wanted to join the Royal Canadian Legion. I remember my very first ever Remembrance Day ceremony. My mom took me there. I had to be about 7 years old. And we were across the street from the memorial ground, and next thing you know, I saw men, veterans of the Second World War, paratroopers, wearing red berets and red blazers. And, you know, Mom looked at me and she said, "Travis, you see those men wearing the red?" I said, "Yeah, what about them?" She said, "When you're my age," my mom had to be in her 30s at the time, she says, "When you're my age, those men ain't gonna be here no more." And that right there made me sad. So I said, I'm gonna join the Legion when I turn 19. So I did. And I've done some amazing things while I was in the Legion. My very first ever year there, I qualified for our darts team, and I represented my branch at the Newfoundland Provincial Darts, Legion Darts. And I did that at 19. I made some wonderful friends there that were legit old enough to be my grandfather, but, you know, they were amazing, amazing men. And women, too. And sadly, a lot of them are gone. You know, a lot's changed in 11 years ever since I joined. And it's sad that I had to leave. But if anybody knows me, I'm a man of principle. And what I saw, not here, I want to make this very clear right off the bat, this had nothing to do with any branch from Newfoundland. This all happened on the mainland. What made me disgusted, angry, and to show the Royal Canadian Legion was founded to support veterans. But what I saw made me absolutely disgusted and made me totally disillusioned with the entire cause of the Royal Canadian Legion, considering what they did. On the mainland, in Alberta, and in Ontario, the Royal Canadian Legion hosted, invited, endorsed, and supported the Soldiers of Odin, a far-right domestic terrorist, Islamophobic, white supremacist, neo-Nazi group founded in Europe that made its way over to Canada, and they have chapters across Canada, the biggest one being in Quebec, surprise, surprise. And there have been known for extreme violence against innocent people. They have gone onto the streets patrolling, they call it patrolling, and literally beating up innocent Muslims who are literally just walking down the street minding their own business. The Legion not only endorsed them, but allowed them to come in, mingle about, and some of them pretty much applied for membership. And the Legion pretty much stated that they were not a terrorist white supremacist group, they were just a social club. And in Ontario, the Royal Canadian Legion there openly invited, well, not invited, I should say, I'll take that back, openly allowed the leader of the Canadian Nationalist Party, which is Canada's version of a neo-Nazi party, to make a speech. What makes me angry is that anybody who claimed to be a white supremacist or a Nazi back in the Second World War, we would have, the Royal Canadian, back in the Second World War, when was the days that we destroyed our enemies who were responsible for killing 6 million people? Nowadays, we allow them to make speeches in our Legion halls. You might as well go up to a 95-year-old veteran in a wheelchair who lost his friends, who's seen more horror than any of us will ever see in 5 lifetimes, who still on the 11th of November in Canada, winters are very cold and they're shivering, they're tired, they're feeble, and they're sitting in a wheelchair trying to remember what they did to make sure that people like the Canadian Nationalist Party and the soldiers of Odin would never come to power again. You might as well go up to that 95-year-old man and spit in his face and smack him, because that is exactly what the Royal Canadian Legion is doing by allowing these people to spread their racist, bigoted, hateful, Islamophobic, xenophobic, anti-Semitism throughout this country. It is not the people trying to leave Syria who are coming here to escape the bombs. They are not the threat. The threat is within our own borders, who appeal to the desperate, the stupid, the deluded, saying that these people are an enemy and wanting to start another Holocaust. The heads of the Canadian Nationalist Party recently went to Ontario Pride to start a racket with them. They call it free speech. Free speech is free speech. It does not mean that you have the right to call for executions of gay people, of Muslims, of blacks, Hispanics. It does not mean you do that. And for the fact that the Royal Canadian Legion has allowed these two people to make their speeches in our Legion halls is a slap in the face to every single veteran, living and dead, who ever went over in the battles of Normandy, in the battles of Gallipoli, in the battles of Beaumont Hamel. There's a veteran here in town who's now gone. His name is Charlie Edwards, who was captured, tortured, starved by the Japanese during the Second World War. This is a smack in the face to him. We are allowing the same type of people, like in the German beer halls that allowed Adolf Hitler to spread his lies and misinformation. That is why I left the Royal Canadian Legion, because the cancer is growing and it is spreading. And I just find it ironic that the Royal Canadian Legion slogan is "Lest we forget." We've already forgotten. Not only have we already forgotten, we don't even know what the heck we're doing anymore. There are still some World War II veterans left. And every single time I ever see one, I literally bow to them, because if it wasn't for him and his comrades, I wouldn't be here. And what are we doing? Yeah, you're old, your time is over. The Royal Canadian Legion patch has a crown on top and in the middle of a maple leaf. And if this cancer is not cut out and dealt with, then that crown will turn into an eagle, and the maple leaf will turn into a swastika. Lest we forget, we've already forgotten. But I still remember, and that's why I left.